what we should do? Why? Why do they want their flags? Why won't black people let me be in their box? Why won't the LGBT let me be in their box? I have a flag over here that has only one box that includes us all. And they have their flag, right? And their box only lets their group in. It won't let none of us, they want blacks in this box and gays in this one and whites here and Asians here and women and females split up with them too and divide us up into all these things, and no one will let me in their box. But they keep saying how they're inclusive. Well, why won't you let me in your box? Huh? Why won't you let me in your box? There's only one flag that has one box that we can all climb into. That's what America offers you and me offers you. Why are you not offering me the same respect? To have a flag that you go in there with a flag that just represents white people. What the fuck? That's KKK ideology, man. If you want your flag, LGBT or Black Lives Matter or whatever, you have KKK ideology. You get it. They tricked you to being a supremacist. They've tricked you.
Letting every group fly their flags would be being respectful. Limiting to exactly what you can and cannot do is not. It is either fly their flags would be their flags should be able to be flown. LGBTQ pride flags should be able to be flown. Letting every group fly their flags would be being respectful. Limiting to exactly
how is that being respectful to me? How is it respectful to, like, I'm a straight person, so what, I have my own straight flag in my own box that I climb into, right? And I don't let none of the gays into my box. How am I being a good person? How is it, like, you bring down your LGBT flag, right? So you have one box there for you, and only for your group, and you don't let no one else in there. You tell us, no, go get your own box and get your own flag. And I'm supposed to think you're good? That sounds like a freaking goddamn supremacist to me. That's KKK ideology.
But Thomas Agotich thinks it's the right call.
I don't think schools and other public entities should be in a position to push any kind of ideologies or ideas.
The bill would not impact private people, which means you could still raise whatever flags you'd like.
Everyone should be able to do whatever they want, but it's out in the public. But the government should never endorse only a fraction of the country with a flag that only covers a small portion of them. You either include us all or don't have it.
Anybody should be able to fly whatever they want on private property, but public property should remain neutral.
In Ellicott City tonight, where dozens of people gathered to watch the pride flag fly over Howard County's main government building. This is a tradition that started 2 years ago, and Howard County Community Reporter Dennis Valera on your corner in Ellicott City tonight with why the community there says it is more important than ever to have this right now.
Like years before, Howard County has a simple message by raising the pride flag.
Because we realize now that the pride is just a communist movement trying to destroy our country.
You can be yourselves here.
You're just dupes of the deep state, of the royals, of the royal family. You're just dupes.
We're sending a message throughout the rest of the state, the nation, and the world.
At first pride flag raising, I hadn't sort of publicly, as an elected official, come out of the closet.
County Councilwoman Christiana Rigby says it's important to be even more visible this Pride Month, especially for LGBTQI plus children.
For me, having public figures when I was younger, I think
These people aren't LGBT, man. Most of these people are just crazy. They're either, they're autistic, they got fetishes, they got low social skills, they're gay. So I don't even everyone knows that. You can't have this many, you can't have 40% of Gen Z is freaking trans or non-binary. Come on, man. That's not possible unless something's going on there fishy, right?
Center of controversy once again. Critics are tearing into a drag story time for toddlers held at a public library. Protesters on both
toddlers.
Sides of the issue clashing outside as leaders refuse to cancel the event. The library says it's all about inclusion. Critics say
Hey, you got to include the pedophiles. You got to include the cartels. You got to include the crazy nut job Muslims from the third world country. You got to the rape gangs. Yeah, you got to include them all, because if you don't include them, you're a bad person. Yeah, if you don't let them come in and take over and bully you around, you're a bad person. They're good people, though, huh?
say it's about pushing a woke, sexualized agenda on young children. Garrett Tenney following the story live for us in Chicago this morning.
Why don't they ever read to old people, to sick people, to people in the hospital, poor people, children? Why is it only children and they have to, just like with the bathroom thing? Why is it there's 100 other things that they could be fighting for, but it has to be the bathroom in the little girl's changing room. It has to be that. That's the only thing. Those are the only things they fight for.
Bill, the library told a local news site that there wasn't any sexualized content planned for this drag story time, but the critics say the fact that a man dressed as a woman was the special guest performer at an event for babies is complete.
We know that a drag queen is a freaking stripper. It's a gay stripper that dresses up like a woman, goes to a gay bar, gets on a stage, and strips and sings. And they throw dollar bills at her. That's what if a male or female stripper was going to, trying to get into schools and libraries to read to toddlers and children, we would all be in uproar. But these people have so much rights. They act like they're victims all the time. If they're so oppressed, how do they have this privilege, this right? Nobody else has the right to be a stripper and go into a child's environment and start reading storybooks. No other group has that right. The only one who has that right is drag queens, the trans, crazy, non-binary, crazy people. They're the only ones who have so many more rights than us, but they're always complaining about how they're oppressed. And so they're just so scared that people killing them left and right. How come, if they're getting killed left and right, how come I never hear of them on the news? The news has a hard-on for this. They definitely put everyone on there.
Inappropriate. Protesters showed up outside of the branch of the library on the south side, the Beverly branch, Tuesday, after the library refused to cancel the event. And things got heated with some of the LGBTQ advocates who came to support the story time with drag queens. But protest organizers say this kind of event isn't what their community wants or needs.
And see, their rights and their wants and their beliefs, they don't see these crazy nut jobs. They talk about inclusion, but they're not including the whole neighborhood. The whole neighborhood doesn't want it, but they won't include the neighborhood. They'd say, neighborhood, shut up. You have to include us. We don't have to include you. That's what their inclusion means.
Our kids can't read. We didn't need a drag queen to come lead story time. We needed a phonics and literacy coach to come lead story time.
Why are you doing it in a public library with our public dollars that you're not even asking the community, are they okay with it? The community didn't even know what was going on. This all property taxes are going up the roof while you're teaching our children all types of crazy stuff.
Yeah, when everyone pays at least 3 months of a year, all your money that you make the first 3 months goes for taxes. Sales tax, federal tax, state tax, property tax, gas tax, cigarette tax. There's so many taxes. And that's if you're in a good state. If you're in a bad state, you could pay up to 46, almost 50%. That means 6 months. 6 months in these woke cities or whatever, in states. Some of them places, they're literally working 6 months and they don't get any pay. And this is what they spent, and the poor people, this is what they steal from us in taxes for this kind of crap. When I make $1,000 a month, why do I have to contribute to drag people being pedophiles towards little toddlers?
A library official told the local news site Block Up Chicago the drag story time for babies was a family-oriented event to promote early literacy.
For babies? They're actually calling it for babies. Are they going to read to babies?
belonging and self-expression through age-appropriate books and songs. This was just the first of many Pride Month events.
Yeah, you have to include their perverts, but they don't have to include us, right?
Chicago Public Libraries has planned, including intergenerational queer art making, events with identity-affirming stations for kids as young as 6, and a story time for kids with the controversial group Sisters of Perpetual Indulgence that features queer and trans men dressed as nuns and that critics say mocks sacred Catholic and Christian beliefs. The Chicago Public Library hasn't responded to our multiple requests for comment on its Pride Month events, particularly those targeting babies, infants, and young kids. Bill?
Yeah, ages 0 to...
Nobody gets a Pride Month. Nobody. Because we're not entitled. We don't have the same rights as these elitist, because that's what it is. They are supremacists, really. That's what they are. They want more rights than us, even though they already have 100 more rights than us already.
And young kids. Bill?
Yeah, ages 0 to 5 attending that event. Pretty wild. Garrett Tenney live in Chicago for us.
Okay, so I hope I gave enough evidence for this. I was going to give more flags showing in the government, places other than public schools. I showed a few there. But I'm just tired of putting up, I have if you want more proof, I have hundreds of videos, that are not called, 7 stages of a society. Before mob rule. Go look at them if you want more. There's porn in the schools. It's unreal what is in the schools right now, and they admit it. These are they're proud of it. Like in New York. But anyways, I showed you the gender theory. This gender theory, it has two aspects. It has the communist aspect. You know what I mean? And that is basically the same. It's the same as the feminism. It's the same as the critical race theory. It's the same as communism. They're all exactly the same thing. You have an oppressor and you have an oppressed, right? In the communism, it's the worker and the business owner, right? In the feminism, it's the men, are the oppressors, the women are the oppressed. In critical race theory, the blacks are oppressed and the whites are the oppressors. The LGBT thing, you got you could say the men or everybody, or you could say the white people are against the LGBT and they're oppressed. But the theory is, the building block of these ideologies, right, these communist ideologies, is that you need to do 2 steps. The first step is destroy everything. Everything in your society, all the way down to the people, the way you think and talk, man. Everything. The industrial complex, the military complex, the government, churches, every aspect of society should be destroyed. If you leave one ember left, then you didn't do your job and you can never move on to step 2. And step 2 is, once you destroy everything in your society, you dismantle and destroy it. Then and only then can you move on to step 2 and build back better with a more fair communist or fair matriarchal or fair, whatever your ideology is, you know what I mean? A more fair society without these patriarchal, white people and screwing everyone, you know what I mean? But why everyone asks is, why do they keep just trying to dismantle and destroy everything? Because that's their ideology. That's what they do. They can't move on to step 2 and make the fair, pretend society that they're this fictitious society. They can't do that unless they do step 1 first and complete it. Okay? And then you have the second aspect of gender theory, right? And we've seen in Canada, Sweden, and the USA, all the countries really, you know what I mean? But Canada, it's like 60% of their country teaches this gender theory that there's no such thing as male and female. That's just a made-up thing. We're all the same, okay? And we don't really have gender, and you can change your gender whenever you want. You want to be this gender today and that one tomorrow? that's fine. You know what I mean? They say there's no that is going to screw up a society, man. Okay, they're basically just creating non-binary